Albany Bay Club members. I'm here with Hal Aikens once again. Today we're here to give you an update on what's going on with the Bay Island and the Marsh golf courses. Obviously, Hal, we got the Cypress course open almost a month ago, and we're still working hard here at the West facility. When I say we, that means you and your crew. We're working hard. We got the front nine of the original Marsh open. We're out here on number 2 Bay Island today. And this original back nine of the Marsh will be the next 9 open. And as you can see behind us, and you can see from the drone footage that you'll see the before, right after the storm. And then what we got today is this whole area had to be stripped where that marsh got put up here, and we're sodding this. So why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of a update on where we are with this 9, then the other 2 9s separately, the new 9 of Marsh and the new 9 of Bay.
Well, obviously this 9 is our focus right now. I mean, we're doing some things. We've cleaned up everything on all 3 of the golf courses as far as trees and things like that. But right now we're focusing on fixing the issues we have on this 9 so that we can get it open by the end of the year. This obviously looks a lot better than the last time we were out here. You know, it's like, how do you get all that stuff off? You know, it's one scoop at a time. We scraped it off with a skid steer, and then we got guys out here with shovels and scraped the rest off. And most of the area this was all covered in that marsh, and it looks a lot better now, right? So, but there were some areas down in here that just weren't coming back. This area right here in front of us. And so we ended up stripping those. They were also staying wet as well. One of the things that happens, salt water ruins your soil structure, so it doesn't allow the water to drain through the soil as easily. So while we had this stripped, we actually added some drainage in this landing area here to try to dry it up. Not try, but it will dry it up and make it a lot firmer. So that's an improvement for us as well. So that took a few days to get all that drainage in. So now we are actually rolling sod in that area so that we'll have less seams, and hopefully it'll heal up a little faster and be more like a playing surface sooner.
Yeah, definitely. As we stand here, we're looking at the sod that had come on pallets and the squares. You know, that creates a lot of different seams, which we had to do here because it's not as big of an area.
Well, that wasn't really part of the plan, but they had cut a load of sod for somewhere else, and so we took it because we were ready to lay some sod, and so we just, it's like, hey, we'll take the truck, and we put it down. So
I know, talking to Timmy earlier this morning, just looking at this area here, that's going to be about 3 truckloads of sod, just so everybody can kind of get a scope of the size of how large this area is. And when you look at this entire golf hole, it doesn't seem like it's that big of an area, but 3 truckloads of sod is quite a bit.
I think, you know, one of the things you try to do obviously this is not ideal. You know, we don't want to be here sodding portions of fairways and fixing all these things. But I think one of the things we try to do when we're faced with that is look at it as an opportunity to improve things, which we have improved this area. We raised this low area behind us that stayed wet. We're putting drainage in that area. The other area on the other side of the cart path, we took the dirt that we pulled out of these drainage ditches when we were installing. We threw that dirt on the other side of the cart path, lifted that up, put a catch basin in there, and dried that up. And so that's going to be better, even though, you know, it's not ideal for, you know.
Yeah, we don't like to do construction videos the week of Thanksgiving.
No.
For sure.
No.
Cruising along, doing the best we can. Why don't we take everybody over behind number 3 Bay, kind of show what the storm had done and what we had to do to fix that area.
Yeah, I think that turned out well, so I think that's worth looking at together.
Let's take off over there. Okay, here we are. We're standing on the number 5 tee of 13 Bay Island, which in their new future will become it'll still be the 13th tee of the original Marsh. So behind us, looking at number 3 green, this lake had come halfway between where the lake bank is right now and that tree. It had totally washed out of there. And that's something that you can see from the overhead, I think, on the original video of how washed out that was. And how many truckloads of dirt do you think this was to refill that?
Well, over there at the tunnel, I know it was 27 truckloads.
Okay.
But then as we worked, we were stripping other areas as well. And that was kind of a hole that we buried a lot of stuff that we took from other areas. But, obviously the water came from the west to the east. This road behind us, this rise in the road, the overpass over the tunnel, served as a dike. Well, of course, it found the hole there at the tunnel, and it did what we know it did there. I'm sure everybody kind of saw most of that video. If not, we can include it with this. You can see the before and after. But there were 27 trucks that went in there to fill that hole. And then as it cut down here where the road lowered and the water could get over it from the wetland across the street here, then it started flowing through, and it kind of split when it got to the green at first. If you think about it, the water's rising, but it's moving in as well. So it gets to the green and it splits in half. A lot of it's going, I think most of it was going behind the green between this tee and that green. And that was the bigger hole. But then a lot of water went around the front of the green and washed out all the waste material and deposited it into the fairway and washed out the natural area there as well. So we fixed all that out front of the green. And then this was such a mess that we just removed all the stuff in here, and we tied these two together like we've done in a lot of other areas that people really like, tying green space to tee space. And I think it turned out it's a really cool look from the tee. So I think it's another area that even though we're forced into a situation of fixing it, we actually improved it and made it something that people are going to really like.
Yeah, before we came on camera over here, we were kind of looking at the wall off of the tee and wondering when this water level drops down if there's going to be a sandbar or anything. And when you look over there, you can see a lot of that silt's been pushed up where that wall stopped it. And what we talked about in the one video was the hole sign from 13 was actually up on the level of that tee. So we know the water definitely got up above that first level and almost onto the top of that tee. And it just pushed all of that muck right up against there. So it is going to be interesting to see with this lake level drops a little bit, what we're going to find.
Yeah, as the weather changes and we get into different seasons and the water tables drop, we kind of see something almost different every day, like that we didn't recognize would be an issue or that was going to be different at the beginning, so but I think people are, I know we're going to do some drone video of the holes now, and they'll get to see kind of some of the before, like right after the storm. This place was smoked. It looked like straw. It was so burnt up, and what people are going to see from the drone video that you do for them today is how much we've recovered. We have recovered a lot. We've got a lot of work, some physical work, things to fix, but the grass is progressing. It's not there yet, but there are a lot of thin areas, but it's definitely improving. And you didn't know what to expect when all this kind of went down. It's like you don't know how quickly things can improve. You really don't know what to expect, how quick, how it's all going to unfold. And I think it's probably better than I thought it would be, really. Some things are worse, but overall, I'd say the improvement in the turf is better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think driving around out here over the past couple months and looking at stuff, that there's areas that you thought were done, absolutely done, and they came back, and areas you thought they were just kind of touched a little bit. They haven't moved at all. So yeah, it's really weird.
It's strange. There's some things that there was no rhyme or reason to why this patch right here is perfectly green, and then right beside it looks dead, So, but I think all in all, everything's coming back pretty good. One of the things that we did elect to do was regrass the 4 greens over on 9, 11, 12, 13 marsh. And if you look at the overhead of the satellite imagery, you could see where there's that gap between the 8-9 peninsula, and then you've got Pelican Nest to the north. And there's this huge gap that creates this trough, and the water's spinning and it's pushing it up into that. And that focused that right into that point of where number 12 sits, and if you look at that, you can see, well, you can understand why those 4 greens suffered the most, because it kind of funneled all that storm surge right through that trough, right through that that marsh wetland, that's a tidal wetland, and it had all that silt and salt that accumulated over the years, and it pushed it right into those 4 holes and onto those greens. And so, they were making some improvement, but they just weren't moving that fast, and number 12 was really bad. Yeah. And so we elected to take those, regrass those, and we're looking at 17 weeks, right?
Yeah, so those were grassed yesterday, probably at a double rate of what we'd normally do in the summer months. So hopefully we can get this cloudy, overcast weather out of here and get some sunshine on them. And one thing when you're talking about, the satellite imagery, when you look at Google Earth and the pictures updated, I think from October 2nd, and you go up and down the coast, you look at all the golf courses outside of the barrier islands, bay and marsh on this side of it got smoked more than anybody else. It looks like you can see some of the other golf courses have a little bit of the yellowing in there, and it doesn't go nearly as far in as it does on our golf courses. So as we've gotten further into this, we realized that in our area, like I said, outside of the barrier islands and all the things that happen on the islands, that with all the homes lost, but as far as golf courses, we took one of the biggest hits out of everybody.
Yeah, I know that some people lost a couple bridges here and there, and there was a little bit of damage, but I would say that we probably had the most physical damage. Number 9 alone is a lot. But all 3 of the bridges over here, the one on number 11, the 2 on number 12, were completely lifted off of their moorings and then set back down. Well, they weren't set back down perfectly, so they, so they all have to be rebuilt. We had to repair the bridges on Marsh, the one behind number 6 green and the one there on number 3. So there was a lot of physical damage here that we have to repair, Yeah,
those bridges are built to take the pressure from the top and not from the bottom. And that's why they just kind of lifted. If those had been like a lot lower and the water was just pushing down on them, they would have been fine. But since it came out underneath is why they came up. So yeah,
again, trying to improve. I don't know that would never happen again, but I can tell you the one that we rebuilt on number 11, we have it secured, better to those concrete moorings that it's tied to, So I don't think that bridge is going anywhere. And we're going to try to do the same thing with these on 12. But, there's pilings, they just go straight down in the ground. So, when everything's soft and the water's coming up, they're just going to pull them right out. There's nothing to anchor them into the earth, So,
well, let's look into the bright future that we have coming up. We're talking about, I see that look again in me. This 9 here to complete the final original marsh, we're looking at the first part of the year.
That's right.
We just mentioned that we had to regrass 4 of the greens on the new 9 of the marsh. And so I guess the next 9 to open will be the new 9 of Bay Island. So we'll have the complete Bay Island golf course intact before we do the full marsh golf course.
That's the goal. Obviously, we want to get this 9 ready, and we're getting there. It looks further away than it really is, but we've got some sod work to do. But this 9, we want to be ready to go by January 1st here, so that we have the original marsh course, which is going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And then, I was telling, some board members the other day that, it's a shame because actually the holes 7 through 15 on the marsh course could actually probably be ready sooner if it weren't for those 4 greens, unfortunately. So that's going to be last in line. So the next 9 will be holes 4 through 12. And we're thinking somewhere in the latter half of February. We'll see how this goes. But that's our goal. And then our goal for the last 9 there, holes 7 through 15 on Marsh, is going to be March the 20th.
Yeah, I'm not going to push it too hard, but I want to see if we can't get it open a couple days early, so we just have 5 golf courses for a couple of days. So we just for a couple of days.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Well,
a lot of that depends on the weather, of course, and but we feel pretty. That's 17 weeks, so if we have some good.
And generally, like when we've redone the 18th green on Creekside and the 13th green here behind us on Bay Island, that was a 12-week program. So a little bit of a 5-week buffer just because of the weather, lack of heat, a little bit we get a lot more overcast days all day, like right now in the winter. So
Yeah, but
hopefully those greens will take off for us.
as you said, we did sprig them twice as heavy. So, I mean, they're over twice as heavy. So, we got enough grass on them. So we'll just see how it goes. I mean, we'll see how the weather treats us, and I think we can do it. Yeah. I mean, we've grown in nurseries before during the winter, and they kind of sit there for a little bit, and then you kind of get to mid-February, and then they kind of take off.
Sure.
So I expect that'll be what happens here.
Okay. All right. Well, I know you came in hot because you had a lot of stuff to do, and you still have a lot more stuff to do getting around here today. First off, happy Thanksgiving to all our members and your family. Enjoy it, and thanks for your time. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact Hal or myself at any time.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Take care.